Spider-Man Homecoming made me feel alive again. It's got so many things going for it and it's such a fun experience. A young, naive Peter who wants to prove himself to the big man, the high school saying, what it does for Peter's character and the Vulture. It's all such a perfect story for a Spider-Man who's still finding his footing in a world with so many established heroes. And yeah, even though the movie came out in what I would argue the MCU's prime, I think it still really holds up even after all this time. And I think it's honestly one of the best films the MCU made. The thing I love the most about the movie is that it's really small stakes. This isn't a movie where Peter has to save the world, the Spider-Verse, the universe, the multiverse, or any other kind of verse. This is him going up against an older guy in a pretty decently but nothing crazy for the MCU advanced bird suit. We'll get more into that one later though. Trying to balance high school and his secret identities and his Spider-Man duties, obviously favouring one more over the other, being nervous to go to homecoming with Liz and her house party and so on and so forth. Makes for a really great saying for Spider-Man because it strongly emphasizes that he's a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, emphasis on the neighbor part. Take a look at this montage right here. This whole montage right here feels like he is the community Spider-Man, and this is a feeling that the next two films really do lose in my opinion as the stakes get higher and higher. I touched on it in my Garfield video, but Tom Spider-Man really doesn't have that neighborhood feel to it, at least not beyond Homecoming. I mean, in his next appearance he's on an entirely new planet, and then he's fighting drones in London, and then he's helping refix the multiverse. As his adventures get more and more grandiose, the movies lose that sort of neighbor part of Spider-Man, and this is coming from someone who loves No Way Home, by the way. Here Peter is actually interacting with people, even small interactions like this where Peter mistakes this dude for robbing a car even though it's his, and everyone coming out to berate him gives life to the city, and they're not just background characters. Real quick, take a look at this scene in comparison in Far From Home. There are people around, but they're not even interacting with Peter at all. They're just sort of there like NPCs. And I touched on this in my TASM video, but Tom doesn't have that connection with New York City in his movies, but Homecoming is the one film in the trilogy where he does have that link to people, even though it's not a huge saving the people type of scene, but at least it is there. Even something as small as waving to people while he's swinging is awesome, and it creates that small link, and this movie does that really well, at least in comparison to the other films in Tom's trilogy. And the low stakes of the movie reflect in the lack of huge web swinging. Peter doesn't really swing around in the massive skyscrapers of New York yet. He sticks close to the ground helping the little guys, and this can be annoying, sure, because everyone wants to see a Spider-Man who swings across the tallest buildings in the city, but for the groundedness of the film, I think it makes sense to have him stick to the ground figuratively and literally. Now, another form of criticism I see around Homecoming is Tony Stark, and it's not exactly an unfounded criticism. Tony does help out Peter a fair bit, but in all fairness, he loses the suit and then beats the Vulture with his trashy homemade one. Peter also does reject the Iron Spider in the end, and it gives us the rubble scene, so I don't care. Speaking of suits though, I thought I'd just say that the homemade suit in this movie is absolutely incredible. This seems like something that I could actually make. Peter's not going to start with a multi-million-dollar looking suit. But admittedly, I do get the criticism, but my biggest issue is not specifically with Homecoming. It's that Peter literally learns the same lesson each movie. And yeah, I get the whole trilogy is actually his movie, but I'm going to stop you right there. That idea is so stupid to me because it just leads to Peter relearning the same lessons every single movie. Peter, you're Spider-Man. I don't really know what it means to truly be Spider-Man. Rest of the movie ensues. I finally know what it means to be Spider-Man. And I suppose this is a movie specific to Homecoming. If it was just a Homecoming thing, that would be fine, but damn, every movie? Come on, let's get moving on to something else here. To kind of add on to that, the whole Peter and Tony dynamic is definitely cool, but I feel that they leaned way too heavily into Tony over Uncle Ben. I get we're in the MCU and this is a whole universe now, but Uncle Ben should always be a prominent figure in a beginner's Spider-Man movie. And the fact that he honestly doesn't seem to have much of an impact on Peter at all is a bit of a letdown. Uncle Ben should always be there for Peter's origin, and it's something that the movie messes up on. I don't need a whole scene of him getting shot at again and getting capped in the street, since this isn't a completely beginner Spider-Man, but a photo, a flashback, a mention by May, anything would be better than this.
And everything that's happened with her,
And a suitcase. What however is not an issue in the movie though is Adrian Toomes the Vulture Bird Boy here. Seriously, probably the best part of the movie. Where do I even start? First off, the fact that Vulture is just some regular old dude in a somewhat normal suit is pretty cool, and it adds to the notion of the movie being low stakes. This isn't all risking the entire city, the lizard turning everyone into mutant lizards or anything insane like that. This is just a working class man in an advanced suit, but nothing insane for the MCU, doing crime to provide for his family when he got screwed over by a billionaire. And the simplicity behind his suit reflects his character, and I really do love it. He's not looking to take over the world, just make money for his family and his crew's family. And motives like this are really cool because it's easy to see villains like Goblin and Venom who just want to mess things up and destroy Spider-Man and go, yeah, screw these guys are evil. But when faced with a villain like Adrian, you can't help but feel somewhat for the guy. He wasn't some nefarious gangster who was always in the criminal life. He was a legitimate guy leading a legitimate life, and the big guy screwed him over. Now yeah, he does end up killing this dude, but he didn't even mean it, to be fair. Hell, he doesn't even kill Peter when he gets his hands on him. He sees the green and that's it. He flips the bread first no matter what, and you gotta respect that. Even gives Peter a quick lesson on class consciousness.
Those people, Pete, those people up there, the rich and the powerful, they do whatever they want. Guys like us, like you and me, they don't care about us. We build their roads and we fight all their wars and everything. They don't care about us. We have to pick up after them. We have to eat their table scraps.
Maybe he really is one of us. But there's a specific sequence I want to focus on with the Vulture, and it's probably my favorite sequence, or at the very least one of my favorite sequences from any Spider-Man film ever. And that is when Peter finds out that Liz's dad is the Vulture. This sequence is honestly incredible. The entire film has been generally upbeat. You know, Peter's in high school, he's Spider-Man, he's with his boy Ned. Sure, he messed up and he lost the suit, but it is what it is, we ball. But here, the second Adrian opens that door, the entire mood changes and it's perfect. One moment Peter's excited to meet his girl's parents, and boom, the next moment he's face to face with a Vulture unknowingly. And the way Tom Holland portrays fear and nervousness here is awesome, especially in this scene specifically. It does kill me. His face is killing me, he doesn't care at all. But the real standout here has to be Michael Keaton, specifically in this whole sequence with the car. You can feel the tension, but slowly and surely you can tell that he is figuring it out. His brain goes green, literally. And he figures it out and it's creepy as hell. Like, why are you looking at me like that? Damn, bro, I'm just a viewer. Adrian's not even in his suit here and he still feels like a threat. He gives off that vibe about him, dare I even say his aura. Like, Peter could straight up just knock this dude out in a second and drop him off to the local station, but he doesn't because he's frozen in fear. Like, even without all of that armor, all those alien weapons, all that Chitauri technology, he still gives off this sort of presence, even if he's just a regular old guy, and it's perfect. Also, in this movie, Peter doesn't really have a love interest like that. Sure, Liz is there, but that's all she is really. She's just there to be the Vulture's daughter. She doesn't really play a huge role in the movie like you might expect from a love interest. MJ doesn't get established until Far From Home, and the person Peter's with for the most part of the film is Ned, which I think is an awesome choice, to be honest. It makes for a dynamic that's fun to see play out, and it builds that brotherly bond between them. But generally speaking, the vibes of the movie are just so good. I don't know how to explain that in words. The best way I could explain is that it feels like a summer movie, something you just slap on while the sky is blue and the birds are chirping and the grass is green. And the low stakes of the film really do help with that. Peter's not trying to save the world, he's not trying to destroy the big bad, he's just trying to prove himself in a world of established heroes, help out the little guy, goes up against a guy who's definitely a threat but isn't exactly risking the entire world with its troubles. And I think that makes for a great Spider-Man movie. But you know what, guys, if a movie gives me good vibes and I had a good time watching it, that's good enough for me, alright? But what about the writing and the pacing? The story isn't that great. Again, I'm just gonna stop you right there. I like Spider-Man, I like Summer, and Homecoming is basically that movie, so sure, make your own video if you don't like it. And for that reason, I'm gonna give Homecoming a solid 8 out of 10. But alas, thank you guys so much for tuning into another video of mine. If you want to see more like this, then check out my other 2 videos. But other than that, see you all in the next one.